If there had been runaway inflation, it would have hurt everybody in the United States, including the whole economy.
Much like the 1940s, inflation is running wild. The Consumer Price Index, or CPI,
which measures prices of goods and services, has hit historic highs.
For context, the Federal Reserve's long-term inflation goal is around 2%. Here's what history can teach us about runaway prices and recessions.
I appeal to the American people for self-control.
The current CPI is certainly stunning, but it's a far cry from how high inflation soared in the immediate aftermath of World War II.
During the war, the government encouraged citizens to buy war bonds, ration goods, and expect less, all to help the war effort and keep the economy in check.
The Queen Mary reaches New York with the fighting 82nd Airborne Division, home after 2 years of battle.
Once strict price control measures were lifted in the wake of the war, inflation hit over 20%. That inflationary boom ended abruptly in late 1948. The Bureau of Labor Statistics credited declining demand, abundant harvest, and tighter monetary policy for the end of soaring inflation, but it did result in a short recession through 1949.
We believed that our nation's resources were limitless until 1973, when we had to face a growing dependence on foreign oil.
The longest stretch of sustained inflation lasted from 1973 to 1982, almost an entire decade. The root, as President Jimmy Carter noted, was oil. The Arab-Israeli War of 1973 prompted Arab members of OPEC to impose an embargo on oil shipments to the United States. Add to that a spiral of rising wages that increased prices, that raised wages, that increased prices, and well, you've got everything being a lot more expensive. Then the Iranian Revolution, followed by the Iran-Iraq War, caused more shocks to America's energy costs.
Why have we not been able to get together as a nation to resolve our serious energy problem?
No government intervention worked until Carter installed Paul Volcker as chairman of the Federal Reserve in 1979. His strategy? Drastically increase interest rates up to a record 18.9%. This pushed inflation down to 4.5%.
The recession observed its first birthday.
But it also caused double-dip recessions, one in 1980 and another from 1981 to 1982.
While the world waited, while Saddam stalled, more damage was being done to the entire world, including to our own economy.
In the late 1980s, the Fed began creeping up interest rates to fight gradually rising inflation. That slowed down the economy, which was then hurt by the double hits of Iraq invading Kuwait and the US involvement in the first Gulf War. On fears of an energy shortage, oil prices shot up, leading to CPI growing as high as 6.1% in 1990. Here, a recession and inflation happened somewhat concurrently. Inflation and the recession both wrapped up rather quickly as the war settled and fears of oil shortages proved unfounded.
And I've said many times, tackling inflation is my #1 priority.
While Russia's war on Ukraine is not the only factor contributing to rising gas prices, it is still a major driver of economic uncertainty around the globe. Stateside, the Fed is fighting inflation with the biggest rate hike since the 1990s. And if history is any indicator, a recession could be on the way.